Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Babbling Irons match preview. This time, the last home game of the season, the last home game of David Moyes ever, probably. He could be back for a third time. We never know. But yeah, David Moyes' last game at home. So again, it's going to be it'll be interesting to see the send-off. From my perspective, it will be a good send-off, filled with gratitude and appreciation as we now move on to the next chapter. But Luton are coming here to play, man. This is not going to be an easy game. Despite the fact they've only won 2 away games all season in the Premier League, they are here to stay up. You know, they've got 2 cup finals now. They're obviously 18th in the league. It's going to be tough for them to stay up, but they need 3 points in this game. You know, they're currently looking at the table 3 points behind Forest, with a much worse goal difference. So they're effectively 4 points behind. They're going to have to win. They're going to have to win this game to take it to the last day, really. So yeah, interesting one. Luton have been slightly underperforming on the points, but like their defensive record is so bad, as is ours, which we'll get into very shortly. So just looking at the stats overall, this is from not expected stats. So just to give you kind of an indication as to where 2 teams are this season, they've only got 26 points. We've got 49. We've scored 56. They've actually scored 49, so only 7 less than us. And you look at that goals conceded, man. We're now up to 70 goals conceded for the season, which is pretty poor. Very, very bad. I think we're on track for a record now for most goals conceded in a Premier League season, which is mental. And Luton, yeah, 78 goals conceded as well. And you can see the differences in position there. But that doesn't really paint the whole story of how our season's gone so far. For Luton, it's kind of similar. If anything, they're slightly ahead of where the expected stats expected them to be. But if we look at the expected stats for West Ham, for example, we should be, based on XG, based on data, 17th. And Luton should be 1 position lower than they currently are in 19th, although they should have a few more points. So, I mean, you look at the expected goals conceded there, 70, pretty much 75 for us, 86 for Luton. So again, that shows you how poor their defensive record has been this season in the Premier League. And again, expected goals scored pretty similar. And again, we only expected to have 8 more points to Luton at this stage so far on 38 points. I mean, that kind of paints the picture as to where this season has gone. You know, in the Premier League, obviously we had a good run in Europa League. We came very close to going through against Bayer Leverkusen, but you know, we just completely tailed off the second half of the season, and it's a real shame because we were picking up wins, we were picking up momentum in December. And that was the time. You know, we've gone over it so many times on this channel, but that was the time to strike. And it may have saved, you know, David Moyes may have kind of put a dagger in his own back, really, with the Calvin Phillips signing. Not to say that we would have signed anyone else that was better or more equipped for that position, or even, you know, with the attacking options that we had that we let go with Ben Rama, Fornals, etc. And we didn't replace them when we wanted Osman. You know, there have been things that are in David Moyes' control and also out of David Moyes' control. So you can sympathize with him and you can also not, because the situation, there's 2 sides to the situation. But in terms of this match against Luton, it's going to be an interesting atmosphere being in the ground because it's David Moyes' last game. We all know it. He knows it. It's our last home game of the season as well before we go to Man City next week. So really, this is the last chance for us to see a proper David Moyes performance at home. So it'll be interesting to see the approach he takes, because last week against Chelsea, players were on the beach. Moyes had given up. You know, it was just an absolute mess, and it could have been a lot more than 5. And you can't do that as a football player, no matter where the season currently is. You know, we want to be finishing as high as we possibly can to end this season, and, you know, end it on a positive if we can with a win against Luton at home before we go to the Etihad. So this is a big game. You know, there's a lot that rides on the reception I think Moyes will get. I think if we perform well and we press high and, you know, we get the win, I think the send-off will be much better. Especially it's going to be a nice sunny day on Saturday, 3:00 kickoff is back. But in terms of actually what David Moyes' send-off will be, I think it kind of hinders on the result and the performance, which is, you know, kind of crazy to say, because that's been the recurring theme of David Moyes for the past couple of years now, has been the performance of the team and the setup of the team, to get that performance and to get that result. We may have had better results at certain periods, but we just haven't been able to to show that in terms of the performances and consistency, which is why the expected stats are so bad for this season. And it's completely warranted. I think our defense has been absolutely atrocious. Our attack hasn't been free flowing in the second half of the season, and it's just not worked. It's just not worked out at all. So yeah, this Luton game is pretty big. Again, it doesn't mean much in terms of like, oh, we're pushing for Europe still, like that's done. But it's pretty big in terms of I feel like what the feeling will be with David Moyes departing on Saturday. As the players do their lap of honor around the pitch at the end of the game, it's going to be a little bit toxic if we do lose this game. So yeah, in terms of what Luton are going to bring to this game, I mean, as I said before, they have to go out to win the game. So it's going to be quite an open approach from Luton. I think they're going to go there with the intention of not showing us respect, and looking at the types of results that we have conceded to teams at home this season, whether that's a draw or a defeat. There is opportunities to get at that West Ham team, and they'll be looking at that Chelsea game last week thinking, thank you very much, because the players looked like they were absolutely coasting, did not want to be there, and were pretty much on the beach. Let's be honest here. They were not trying at all, bar a couple of exceptions. But in general, it was just an absolute nightmare. So yeah, Luton will go into this with plenty of optimism, and they have the players to hurt us. They really do. They have pace. They have quality from deliveries out wide. Doughty at left wing back has been fantastic for them, and is also a player we're looking at. And he'll be able to deliver those balls into the box and find those channels of spaces that we're going to leave inevitably with our defense. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be an easy match at all. I think this will be a very, very tough game for West Ham on Saturday. And I think Luton absolutely should go into it with the mindset of trying to win, because that's the best approach to take against West Ham. You have to just go for it. You have to be expansive, and when they need to be compact, because we struggle to break teams down. So I think Rob Edwards and his team will be looking at this thinking, okay, can we try and control a little bit more of possession? Because West Ham aren't going to be the best at retaining the ball, but if they do have the ball, they're going to be very compact. They're going to try and limit the spaces. Obviously, they play that back three, so they're going to try and force it out wide. And that is kind of our game right now. It's, if we do have possession and we're trying to break teams down, it's very rarely through the middle, unless it's like a magical pass from like Paqueta playing it over the top. But there's not really intricacies between the lines, between the midfield and defense. It's very much, okay, backwards and sideways, out to the wingers, out to the fullbacks, and overlapping and giving the ball to the likes of Kudus, Bowen, and Antonio to try and make something happen in the final third. Usually out wide, usually in the wider areas. And I think Luton will be fine with that. I think they'll deal with that pretty comfortably. So we need to approach this in a different way. We need to be very careful how we set up in possession and out of possession, because they do have players to hurt us when we leave those gaps. Ross Barkley has been fantastic for them this season, and they've definitely got players that can hurt us. Adebayo is one of them. Obviously Morris as well. He's going to cause our centre backs issues. So there's a lot that's riding on this for not just West Ham and David Moyes' end to his career, this last 4 years, but also from a Luton perspective. We're not playing a team that's on the beach. We're playing a team that's actually fighting to stay up, to stay in the division against all odds. So it's going to be interesting. I think my gut feeling is that we probably will win the game, but it's not going to be an easy game at all. I think Moyes will kind of let the leash go a little bit. I think he'll allow the players to play with a little bit more freedom, and I think the players themselves will take that responsibility upon themselves to go out there and play with freedom in our last home game. Whether I think we're going to be pressing for 90 minutes and be on the front foot, no, I don't think we will. I think Luton will look to counter that, and I think we'll kind of go, whoa, like they're in for a game here. Like they're not here to just turn up. And I think that's when we start to panic and we start to make loose passes and we stop controlling matches. So, yeah, I think this one could be a potential banana skin, but it's one I do think we're going to win the game in. If I had to give a score prediction for this one, that's tough. Definitely not predicting a clean sheet for either side based on those defensive records so far this season. So I'll go with a 3-1 West Ham win. I think it's going to be tight and edgy, and then we'll get a couple of late goals to kind of seal it as they look to expand and look to get that win and 3 points. So tough game. Tough game. Interesting to see what the reception is around the London Stadium with David Moyes and how he gets treated by the fans. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you are going to the game, what your feelings are on it being Moyes' last home game, and the type of reception you plan on giving him. Because from my side, it's respect. You know, he's done a lot for this football club in the last 4 years. We're going to do a separate video on Moyes, but yeah, from my side, it will be appreciation. Thank you very much. And yeah, we're moving on to the next chapter. So yeah, if you enjoyed the preview, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. And until next time, come on, you Irons.